Hello, everybody. We hope you're doing good with your family, so please stay safe. At Incomex Cloud, we are committed to bring our resellers and MSPs valuable solutions to help end customers. Now, more than ever, the digital transformation is critical. That's the reason why we decided to put this bootcamp in place, so you can have all the information from Avepoint directly. The bootcamp is dedicated to Avepoint migration tool, Fly. Some of you already joined some sessions from Incomex directly, and we have a lot of questions regarding the tool. So we now have the message directly from the specialist. Today, we are going to cover the commercial aspects of the solution with Scott Sackett, and tomorrow we will have a deep dive on the solution from a technical perspective with Kyle Johnston. So please welcome Scott Sackett. He is the Avepoint Sales Director. Hello, Scott.
Hello. All right. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. As Marlene mentioned, we know this is certainly a very interesting time in our world's history. We hopefully all are healthy and well, and by virtue of being on this call, it means that we're all working, which is great, but probably from home. What we're going to talk a little bit about today is, of course, how the Avepoint Fly migration tool can help accelerate that digital transformation into the cloud for many partners on this call. I'm sure you're having these conversations with your clients, which is, we are all now kind of entering this new age of either work from home or hybrid for certain locations where they're still able to go to the office. But this is giving all of us the kick many needed to understand that being in the cloud is the most scalable, productive solution for many of our businesses. So today we're going to talk from a commercial perspective about the Avepoint Fly migration tool. It is, like I said, tomorrow we'll do more of a deep dive on the technical side, but this is a commercial. So we'll talk about features and functionalities, pricing and licensing, value add. We'll talk more about Avepoint as an organization as well, what we do as well. So we do have a set agenda. As Marlene mentioned, my name is Scott Sackett, and I run a global channel for Avepoint. So excited to be here. We'll talk about Avepoint and our product portfolio, what Avepoint does, how we do it, etc. And then we'll dive into the Fly migration tool. What are the reasons why people are using migration tools to begin with? There are native tools, but what other challenges partners are having in order to get data to the cloud. We'll talk a little bit about the features and the architecture of the tool itself, some commercial go-to-market examples on how people make money leveraging the Avepoint Fly tool. We'll have show you little case studies, as well as talk more then about how we'll support you from a commercial perspective, technical support, sales and marketing support, and then end with really what makes Avepoint different as an organization to support you in your journey to transform some of your customers into the cloud, and then of course have some Q&A at the end. So for those unfamiliar with Avepoint, we're a global organization. We've been around since 2001. We're not a new company. We're not a startup. We have over 1,500 employees around the world in 25 different offices. Over 7 million cloud users get value from Avepoint technology, whether that is our migration tools, backup tools, and so on. And I'll talk real briefly about some of the other solutions. We're deployed in over 88 countries. From a infrastructure perspective, Avepoint hosts all of our cloud solutions on Microsoft Azure. We're deployed in 12 different Azure data centers around the world, very Microsoft centric, as you could tell. What comes along with Azure? Things like significant availability, 99.5% is our SLA. We offer 24/7 phone, email, and chat support, and we're managing over 20 petabytes of data today in those in those data centers, right? So, significant amounts of data is passing through Avepoint technology. We're a 4-time Microsoft Partner of the Year. We have multiple MVPs and regional directors on staff. So very Microsoft centric, long history in the Microsoft technology field. We actually started in SharePoint. For those who have any sort of SharePoint background, that's probably where you may have first heard about us. We are the first ever migration and backup solution for Microsoft SharePoint on-premise in the world, starting back when they used to call it Tahoe. That was the code name from Microsoft actually for SharePoint, and we started developing technology on premise and moving throughout ultimately into Office 365 and all the great workloads that Microsoft offers today. From a high level, Avepoint is a lot more than just migration. We offer many different cloud services and on-premise products for the Microsoft stack. So whether that is SharePoint on-premise, like I mentioned earlier, we've been doing SharePoint for a long time, or Office 365 and the applications that make up Office 365, like SharePoint Online, Exchange, OneDrive, Teams, Groups, Project Planner. We have several different tools and services to enable productivity and infrastructure and governance and management. So we break it up into 4 kind of key categories around integration, governance, management, and compliance, and those are high level. And then underneath those, we have subcategories or basically microservices that partners like yourself can use to ultimately manage and move and protect data. So everything from migration, like we're going to talk about today, to data protection, like cloud backup, to management of security and permission, policy enforcement, auditing, to governance of not just policies, but of provisioning of things like Teams and SharePoint sites, to compliance, ensuring that data is not being shared recklessly. It's known. It's not dark data like we call it. It is can be quarantined. It can be brought offline and so on, right? So a lot of different aspects to how we move data. Ultimately, Avepoint is a data management company. In addition, we're not just on-prem or the cloud. We do also offer things like hybrid. So whether an organization is deployed 100% on their servers, whether they've 100% gone cloud, or whether they're somewhere in between and making that move to the cloud, or insist on staying in a hybrid motion, Avepoint has technology that can help satisfy those needs. So once again, we're not a startup that started 3 years ago, born in the cloud. We've been through this gradual change, just like your customers, right? So we have technology that helps suit those that journey that they're on as well. So at a high level, what is offered in IncomEx's marketplace today, right? So there are a lot of different tools that today we offer. We don't offer everything. What we found is that in the cloud journey, many people are at different maturity levels. So we have started with the tools that are most relevant, that are going to impact their business today. So of course, our Fly migration, which I'll cover much more deeply, is there, as well as our cloud backup for Office 365 and Dynamics 365, and our cloud management tool that helps you manage securities and permissions, reporting, as well as policy enforcement. So all of those are there today. We sell products both for the MSP, so you as the partner to use to offer as a service, or in the case you want to resell the product to an end customer. Many times, probably your larger customers want to manage and own the products themselves. You're really just helping, facilitate that deal, or bring that value prop to them, and then ultimately help them deploy and use the product. Or you want to both have co-management of the product. We help with that as well. So different SKUs for different use cases here. As I mentioned, we have multi-tenant versus single tenant. That ultimately is all around, do you want to do the service for them, or are they going to do the service? So we have single tenancy usage and multi-tenancy usage. So with that background of who we are and what we're selling today with IncomEx, let's talk about what we're here to do, which is Fly. Right, so Fly is the Avepoint migration solution that helps partners move their customers to Office 365. Now, to start with, why is a tool like this even necessary, right? So we know that Microsoft does have some native solutions to help people move data to the cloud. Now, those native solutions are mostly around Microsoft applications, of course, right? So you may be able to move some Exchange mailboxes to Office 365, right? Or SharePoint to Office 365. But there are a lot of other challenges that come with moving data to Office 365, or now Microsoft 365, as they've decided to change ultimately the name. that many people are not familiar with or have answers to. So a few of those questions that we hear consistently are things like Office 365 throttling, which is always a concern about speed and getting data through the pipe. How do I move various data sources? So once again, not just Microsoft products, but other data sources. The reality is that, yes, there are a lot of Microsoft customers who want to move to Office 365 from on-prem, but there are also a lot of data that sits in legacy systems, like file shares, right? Everyone knows someone who has a file share that is unstructured, unmanaged, and we want to move them to the cloud in a more secure environment. Or other cloud-based applications, Box, Dropbox. How about Slack, for example, a new kind of hot product that many people are thinking about? How do I move my Slack instance to Teams now that Teams is become much more robust and comprehensive than Slack? So that is all topics that we hear constantly. Classification and organization of content. One of the typical questions is, how do I know what it is I'm moving right before I move it? If you were to, the old analogy is if you were to move homes, you wouldn't just take everything, box up everything, and then move it, and then go through things and throw it out. No, you would actually want to do an organized classification and search of what you were moving before you moved it, throw those things out. So once you move to your new home, you can easily unpack and structure your home and design it the way you'd like it. This migration is no different, right? So how do I do something like that? How about just, we don't know what we're doing, right? I mean, not all partners are migration experts. So how do we gain expertise in migration itself? Who's going to help us? How do I move during non-production hours, right? So, most migrations don't happen during the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, right? So how do I do this at off hours? Restructuring of environments. Once again, right, that same old analogy. Maybe, the environment looked like something on-prem, but when we get to the cloud, we want to change taxonomy, right? How do I do that? And then how do I move tenant to tenant? This has become a really popular conversation, whether it's I'm hosted today and I want to move to a different Office 365 environment, whether I want to move data within my own Office 365 environment, right? Data from, SharePoint Online site to SharePoint Online site or Teams to Teams. How can I execute something like that? So these are all really large challenges we're seeing in the field. And these are just the tip of the iceberg, right? There are many, many different questions and challenges we see out there. The way Avepoint thinks about migration is very partner centric. Okay, so the way we license the product, the way we talk about the product, it's all about not just from one source to one destination and it's project based. It's really about building a business around technology, right? And a service that you can offer your customer and continuously add value. So the platform, and it is a platform, is there to offer multiple data sources to Office 365 from wherever the customer's data may sit, right? So yes, we offer the standard email, right? Email is kind of the tip of the spear for many partners to go in there and say, look, you have Exchange, you have IMAP, you have POP3, or you're in Gmail, for example, right? We want to move that to Exchange Online. Great. And many vendors, frankly, that's what they offer and that's all they offer. And that's okay, right? That is that first step to get someone into the cloud. But then what? The idea behind the Fly tool is to enable you to continuously sell and upsell more and more migration services. So after email, what comes next? Maybe a file share on-prem. What comes next? Maybe an online collaboration tool like Box or Dropbox. What comes next? Maybe something like Slack, right? And taking a one-time service and turning that into a more maybe reoccurring migration. In addition, it also moves tenant to tenant, right? So like I said, start with email, expand to other migrations, and use one single platform to grow this. All of our licensing comes with every data source. So you don't have to pick and choose and make it complicated. You get one license to manage all of this. So the other unique piece is the way we license the product. We license it on a month-to-month basis. And you may say, well, why, right? Because, my migration may last more than a few months. That's right. We want to only bill you for the time you use the product, right? It's like a consumption model almost. So per user, per month, based upon the destination tenant, when your migration is over, you cancel that. You no longer offer or need to pay. In addition, we also offer an annual SKU. So why is the annual SKU interesting? Well, it's unlimited. So you can actually move an unlimited amount of customers throughout a year, all right? And an unlimited amount of data sources for those customers. Now, the only caveat is there's a data size limit, right? So, each one of those tenants, you get up to 1 terabyte of data to move. So there are different ways based upon your business model, right? So if you're a migration factory and you do tons and tons of migrations a year, the annual one may be really, really good for you. If you do opportunistic migrations or you're just starting out, maybe the month-to-month option is the best, more financially feasible option for you until you create a baseline, right? But the reality is this, and we have some interesting stats here. By 2021, more than 70% of business users will be substantially provisioned with cloud office capabilities. And by 2023, less than 20% of businesses will be substantially provisioned on-prem. In other words, everyone is moving to the cloud. You have to figure out a way to get there. And actually, what's going on in the world is accelerating that growth. So these stats are probably even out of, are probably stale by now, right? They're probably out of date based upon what's happening in the world. Now, the Fly migration solution is not a typical cloud-based tool. It actually is a manager agent on-prem tool. So you do need to either spin up a VM, an Azure VM, or install this on a laptop or server. The install is very, very light. But what's great about this type of architecture is it allows you to increase or decrease or spin up or spin down agents for throttling and throughput purposes. So if you're doing a very big migration job, you can add on agents that'll actually allow you to increase throughput. And if it's very small, you could stick with just one. The footprint is super small, like I said. We have standard Azure VM provisioning metrics. It's super easy to spin one up and install this. So very straightforward, not complicated. As a matter of fact, when you buy, we give you both videos on how to easily install, but we also offer free hand-holding sessions for everyone, especially their first-time buyers, to actually walk through migrations. By the way, this is a screenshot, obviously, of the home screen of the UX. So what you're seeing here is how we break up the tool, right? So you're going to do more of this on the deep dive tomorrow, of course, and walk through exactly how the tool works. But you can see on the upper left, you have your cloud-based migrations, right? So tenant to tenant, we'll call it, but that's everything from a Microsoft perspective: SharePoint Online and Exchange and Teams and Business and Groups, or excuse me, OneDrive and Groups. All of that is on that upper left sources. On the upper right is your SharePoint and file migrations, as well as your cloud-based collaboration tools, right? So your Google Drives, your Dropboxes, and your Box. On the bottom left, of course, is all of your mailbox migrations, including Gmail. And then on the bottom right is your Slack migrations. So as we add on more and more data sources, you can get it all from this one unified home screen and platform. So we've been talking a little bit about the tool. So here are some of the features, right, on one, kind of sheet. So move your on-premise data from SharePoint on-prem, FileShare on-prem, Exchange on-prem, Box, Dropbox, Gmail, Google Drive, and Slack, all to Office 365, once again, from that one interface. You can, as I mentioned earlier, some of those challenges, you can, in fact, schedule migrations in non-production hours, or you could run them on demand. That's up to you. You can create all sorts of mappings and filtering policies as well. So what we've learned through many, many years of migrations, and remember, we've been doing migrations ever since SharePoint 2001 to SharePoint 2003, so we've been doing this a very long time, is that no one migration fits every plan, right? So we have all different sorts of filtering policies and mapping policies and conflict resolution policies that you can implement either on the fly or preset as your default as you build out your different mappings. So for an example, when you migrate, for example, a file share to Office 365, if you've ever done this before, you'll know that Microsoft doesn't play nicely with certain types of file size names or illegal characters. We offer those mappings out of the box or allow you to customize those mappings to make sure that ahead of time, you're not going to run into that problem and have all these errors kicked back as you do a migration. And that's just one of many, many examples of those kind of pre-mapped out filter policies that we can, or mapping policies that we can implement for you. We offer a pre-migration analysis. Once again, to go back to the analogy of when you move a home, do you do everything, you move everything first and then deal with it, or you go through all of your stuff, you throw out the non-relevant things, and then you do the migration, right? Or you do the move. Same thing here, right? We allow you to take a full view of all of your sources, what's there, everything from, you know, your file sizes, your storage, broken up by file type. We do some of those warnings for you, right? You know, here's where illegal characters sit, here's where illegal file names sit, here's, you know, too long of a file name, and so on. We surface all of that for you, right, to make you aware before you ultimately do the migration. And then after your migration and during your migration, we have monitoring capabilities, right? So you can see your migration in progress, how far along it is. After it's done, you can see, of course, and logs on what's been completed, what hasn't been completed, and so on. And in addition, tenant-to-tenant migration. So we see this all the time. We see this with M&A activity. We see this with people moving from hosting to other Office 365 environments. We see this within an Office 365 environment, you know, moving data around. You know, tenant-to-tenant is becoming one of the most important migration features and capabilities necessary within an MSP's arsenal. So very critical to be able to move data tenant-to-tenant. So here's a great exercise we like to walk everyone through. So we do this for both backup and migration. Obviously today we'll focus on migration, but the gist of it is the same, which is, you know, the common question of how do I make money, right? So we're talking obviously about the product, what the product can do for you. Ultimately, the idea is you're a partner who offers a service. Those services you want to tack on margin to ultimately make good money for your business, right? To drive value for your customer, but also to, of course, make money for your business. Now, how do you make money? So we use a couple of examples here, and we're underselling this. We're using small examples of very average size deployments and services to show you how easy it is. So we'll use 25 seats for an example. Now, for migration, we'll use the average of you're paying $3.30 per user per month. That's what you're paying. And the average migration is actually less than 2 weeks. So you're not even doing the migration for a month here, right? So you get your 30 days of migration done. That's why month-to-month type of payment makes sense, right? So what that means is for 25 seats at $3.30, you're looking at $82.50, right, for those seats. Now, if you charge 1 hour of labor per mailbox migrated, right, and the partner averages $120 charging $120 per item migrated, you can see here that you could charge $3,000 for those 25 seats, right? Now, it typically takes about 4 hours of labor to do the migration itself. So if it's $3,000 an hour times 4 hours, you're at $12,000 and you paid almost nothing for the seats, right, for that month. Now, that is no-brainer, huge margins that you can make on a migration product that is really inexpensive, but really robust and comprehensive. Now, if you want to extrapolate this out, what I talked about earlier is that's really just for one data source, right? To get to that, 2 weeks of a migration project or less. What if you started now selling multiple data sources, which is really where we see our partners make great money and margin. If you start with email, move to file shares, move to cloud-based collaboration tools, extend out the service from 1 month to 2 months to 3 months to 4 months, move all of that data into the cloud over a period of time, the margins are tremendous. They're just tremendous. And by the way, backup, same thing, right? So not to make this into a backup speech, but backup, same thing. The cost is what the cost is, right? For 25 seats at $440 per user per month, $110. We typically see people charge around $750 per mailbox per month. And you could see here how easy it is to do the math on what you can make on a monthly recurring revenue perspective. Okay? It's very easy to make money with Avepoint tools. It's very easy to keep your customers satisfied, accelerate their transformation into the cloud, right? And you to build a really strong, robust business around these solutions. So, are we just taking our word for it? No, of course. We have significant customers around the world, large enterprises, small customers, major partners who have used these types of tools to be successful and make money. T-Systems, one of the largest systems integrators in the world, used this tool to ultimately move over 350 terabytes of various legacy data sources to both SharePoint on-premise and online we don't list the name of the company here, but it's Shell Oil, one of the biggest oil and gas companies in the world, right? It was a huge, huge payday for them, right? It took several months because they were moving so many different legacy data systems, but the margins were tremendous. Imagine 350 terabytes of data, right? Same thing in all of these examples, whether it's cities, right, like the city of Adelaide in Australia, whether it's a different enterprise where they move multiple terabytes of data to Office 365, things like metadata were kept intact, permissions management, right? So it's not just about data, right? Sometimes it's also about the permissions and metadata that you can also maintain and move over, right? So configurations on Exchange, for example, all of those are incredibly important. And then, of course, once you get there, leveraging other cloud services to keep that recurring revenue going, like our cloud backup or like our cloud management, right? That is where we see people get even more success. We don't think of ourselves as a point solution company. As we showed you earlier, we have many, many tools to help you keep moving on the journey of Office 365 adoption, whether that's moving to the cloud, backing up that data, protecting that data, managing that data, governing that data, complying with all sorts of regulations on an ongoing basis. Licensing and billing model, as I mentioned earlier, everything we do is on a per user per month basis on assigned Office 365 users, very much mapped to CSP, right? So whether you're doing migration or backup of either Office 365 or Dynamics, all of that is on a month-to-month model. The one exception is that annual fly migration SKU that I talked about earlier, which of course is billed annually. It's an annual SKU. Right? The advantage of that SKU is now you know upfront how much money you're spending on your migration practice, and you can then aggressively go after customers to bill against that, right? So the idea is, hey, I already know I think it's about $7,500. I've spent $7,500. Great. Once I hit that $7,500, which I could probably hit in the first or second quarter, now everything I go after is margin, right? Every single deal I can make money on. So if there is an RFP out there that I'm competing on, if there is a competitive situation, I can be really, really aggressive knowing that I'm going to be able to make money on this no matter what, right? So there are major advantages to doing that. Once again, minimum commitment time for our cloud services is 30 days, and on the annual fly migration, of course, is 365 days or 1 year, and no minimum seat counts for anything, right? So we're leveraging and we're working with the smallest companies in the world who are, individual proprietors to massive enterprises who have hundreds of thousands of seats, right? So the tool is scalable. It's enterprise grade. Avepoint for many, many years has been known in the enterprise space and the MSP space for dealing with the most complex, robust types of environments. An example of how the billing model works, of course, if I buy 5 seats on the 15th of June, you're going to get your first invoice the first of the next month, and that will be for July moving forward. All the increases and decreases are recognized the following month, okay? So very straightforward, very clean. We're not worried about proration, for example. Very straightforward type of licensing and billing model, easy to understand for all of you guys. From a support and enablement perspective, we have seen this, that it is critical to not just have a great distributor like IncomeX, but to have significant support from the vendor themselves, right? So IncomeX is, of course, the people who are bringing you the technology. They're the ones who are helping you procure it and manage your subscription and licensing. It's important to have a great partner like you do, but the vendor has to play their part in order to help not just give you a product that works, but to help make you successful in the business itself. So outside of the product, what else do we offer and what do we do? So we offer pre-sale support to help win impact opportunities and strategic customers for you. If there are opportunities that you need help on, that you need guidance on, that you need a technical resource for, maybe that you need, GTM questions, right? Hey, how much should we be charging for this, etc.? What do other people do, and so on? Avepoint can, in fact, help you on that. We are there to help you win those opportunities. From a post-sales perspective, if you are buying migration, you can use our team to onboard for free. All right. We will help you set up that migration. We will help you deploy that migration. We will make sure you are successful. All right. We offer 24/7, 365 support with all subscriptions. When you buy the product and you get that welcome email that says, hey, thank you for buying Avepoint. Here's your license key. Here's your migration product. If you need help, here is a link to reach out for help. That goes directly to that enablement team. That enablement team will reach out to you and contact you and set up a time to help walk you through this. It is free of charge. It is not an additional price, okay? It's not a service for us. It's an onboarding enablement tool to make sure you are successful, right? It's critical that, for us, our partners are not one-time partners, that you guys continue to trust and use our technology, that our support is great, that the product is going to make you money and build your business up. So we offer these types of free services for that reason. From a marketing perspective, we consistently pump out different sorts of incentives, either quarterly or annual incentives with IncomeX to help drive adoption and awareness, right? To help drive opportunities, all right? We don't just want you to be successful. We want you to be so successful that you're making so much money that there's no question that Avepoint is the tool and the partner for you moving forward, right? So those types of incentives and promotions will consistently be brought up. We will raise them through IncomeX. IncomeX will educate you guys on them, how you can make more money, how you can help be more aggressive in the field, and so on. And lastly, all sorts of content, go-to-market playbooks, collateral, data sheets, competitive documentation, right? Maybe you're competing in the field with, versus another partner offering a different product. Maybe we're competing to explain to you why Avepoint should be the product of choice versus another product, right? All of that type of collateral, that type of marketing information is available, can be created if necessary, PowerPoint templates for you to help build presentations. Like I said, go-to-market information, similar to the example I showed you. We have all sorts of guidelines and guidance we can give you on how to go to market, how to price the products, how to position the products to win. Right. So we've been doing this obviously for a very long time. We're highly successful. We know what other people are offering. We know that some of it's inferior technology, some of it's inferior commercial offerings. We can help you win those deals. From a technical and product support perspective, we offer, like I mentioned earlier, 24/7, 365 phone, email, and chat support. It's included. It's not an add-on. It's not extra. It's not just during the work days, right? Migrations happen in non-production hours. You're going to need to reach out to somebody. All of that is included in the subscription, right? Once again, it's not just our goal to sell you products. It's our goal to make you successful. So you need to be able to contact support. I've been selling migration for a very long time. I mean, probably almost 15 years now, okay? Different sorts of migration solutions. The one thing that is always true is that the company with the best support is going to help you be successful with migrations, because migrations always have complications, always. And if you're not aware of that, and if you're new to migrations, expect it. Migrations are very different from one customer to another customer. There are custom workflows, there are custom definitions, there are things we've never seen before, there are web parts that are customized, right? Products are made to migrate over the common things, right? The common objects, but all of these other platforms are customized. So we have to be able to help support those and help you get that stuff over, even when it doesn't come out of the box, right? We're there to help support that. But I promise you, if you're not getting support, 24/7, 365 good support from a vendor, your migrations will ultimately fail. I promise it. Very few are really simple out of the box migrations. In addition, I talked about the enablement sessions for partners using Fly. That is all free. And the other part I really want to call out is around our product development team. We have about 1,500 employees at Avepoint. Almost half of them fall on the product and R&D side, which is a tremendous amount of folks. What does this allow us to do? It allows us to be first in market on things like advanced workloads, like team support, or project and planner, which very few people offer, or dynamics. It helps us bring new sources to migration, like Slack, right? And I don't think anyone offers Slack, Office 365 or Teams migration yet. It allows us to be agile and offer hot fixes when there are bugs or when there are problems, and they always occur. Every vendor has them, right? Let's just real talk. So Our team is there, they're robust, they're global, they help individual companies succeed, right? So we're able to spin out new features based upon new feature requests because we've invested a lot into building the best technology, world-class technology out there. So what makes us different? Now, I've touched upon a lot of this, so I'm hoping it's self-explanatory, but I'll walk through some of those differentiators. And this is really not just what we think. This is what our customers tell us. This is what our partners tell us. Technical support. We know many companies who don't offer true 24/7, 365 technical support. This is a differentiator. This is not just technical support. This is going to help you win and make money. Product development, right? So I just focused on those two things a second ago. Global footprint. Right? We're not a small company. We're not trying to work with you. We're trying to scale. Avepoint has been around a long time. We have global enterprise customers across the globe. This means that we are used to working and being there for our customers to help make them successful. Our product portfolio and breadth. So not just for migration, but we offer a lot of different solutions that help you move the life cycle of Office 365 for your customers. That enables you to keep making more money, to keep helping them move further and further into their adoption and maturity of Office 365. That's important. That just doesn't make us a point solution partner. That makes us a real partner, a long-term partner, right? Reoccurring services that can be generated from Avepoint on an ongoing basis. In addition, we're not just one piece of the puzzle, right? We're not just Exchange. We're not just SharePoint. We're not just a mile wide, but we're a mile deep in the Microsoft space, right? So Teams, Project, Planner, Public Folder, Dynamics, Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint, of course, right? We are doing all of those advanced workloads, all of the applications we support, and we support them for multiple products, right? That gives you a lot of opportunities, a lot of tools in your tool belt to go out there and win business and answer those use cases that your customers need. Obviously, Teams and Dynamics support. This is very hot. If you're not selling Teams, if you're not talking about Dynamics today, these are things that not just that we support in our tool set, but that Microsoft is throwing a lot of money at. They're big initiatives. I'm sure Incomex has been talking a lot about these two types of technologies, right? They are really hot button issues. Microsoft is desperate to win the CRM space. They're desperate to win the unified communication / productivity space with Teams, right? These are the products that are hot. They're the ones that Microsoft's throwing money at, that our partners are throwing money at, and that customers are really buying into. So if you're not doing it today, you should be doing it. We have technology that helps support that. Another unique differentiator, we not just offer MSP technical support, we also offer end customer technical support. So why does that matter? Well, for MSPs, it doesn't typically matter. But for those partners who do have customers who want to use their technology, like I mentioned, we give you the ability to do either co-sharing management or co-management, as well as full-blown resell, so your end customer can use the product. If you're not, as an MSP, offering technical support, which is hard to do on someone else's product, we will, in fact, pick up the phone and answer them. We know who your customers are. They can register, and we will give them the 24/7 support. Now, if you don't want us to, obviously we won't, right? If you're an MSP doing it as a service, the end customer is never going to call us, and we're not going to support them per se. But we're never going to reach out to them proactively. But if they call in and they want technical support, we are capable of doing that. And last but not least, credibility. And I find this actually really matters in the field. Multiple Microsoft MVPs, multiple Microsoft regional directors. If you don't know what a regional director is, they actually get access to Microsoft roadmaps well in advance. They're part of a lot of the different teams when Microsoft rolls out beta programs. These are the guys who are in the field who are actually using Microsoft technology before anybody else. They're actually one step higher than Microsoft MVPs, if you're familiar with that program. So really hard to get multiple regional directors. And 4-time Microsoft Global Partner in the Year, and that doesn't include our regional distinctions. We have been a big Microsoft partner for a long time. Like I said, we're part of things like the TAP program, which is the early adoption programs, the beta programs, the MVP programs. We work very, very closely with them. That's why we're first in market with things like team support, dynamic support. We have significant Microsoft folks on our board, for example. This is how you become a partner that can actually help amplify and really grow out the Microsoft business. And lastly, we're not a one or two person company in a garage. We're backed by two of the largest private equity firms in the world, Goldman Sachs and TPG. We are not the typical kind of unicorn startup that you hear about in the news. We've been around for 18, 19 years, but we are still growing significantly fast because we offer the most robust, comprehensive solutions in the market, and the investment community has obviously already seen that. We recently closed a pretty significant round, over 200 million. That happened in December / early January. It was announced. And that was for a minority share. So Goldman was an existing investor. TPG has bought in, and Goldman has also retained their stake as well. The Avepoint as a company is very healthy, very robust, growing, because we're selling technology and we're helping our partners grow out the fastest growing ecosystem in the world, which is Office 365, now Microsoft 365, and the tools within there like Teams. So really exciting time to be in this space. I'm sure you guys as partners all recognize this. That's why you're all interested in figuring out more tools, more data sources to get to the cloud, to get people using those capabilities to help you sell the E5 type licenses, E3 licenses, the things that are advanced workloads. Avepoint is excited to hopefully help partner with you on that stuff. Some additional one additional note. I think IncomeX has already announced this to many of their partners, but Avepoint does have something that we've released since the COVID-19 pandemic, something we call the Work From Home Kit. And it's two of our products for free that I thought, would be relevant to the conversation, even though it's not just for migration, but for those folks who have people already in Office 365 that you're managing. We have our Group Hub product that allows people to actually manage membership of groups and teams. So many people are being added to teams all over the place, and it's very hard to manage a lot of that membership. What team am I in? What am I doing? Why am I in this? And so on. That is a free solution we're offering until the end of the year to help with that. And then our end user restore chatbot via the Team Store. So you could actually go on right now, go into the Team Store and subscribe to Ava, Avepoint Virtual Assistant. And even without buying Avepoint's cloud backup, Ava actually gives significant value today to your customers who need backup and restore capabilities. It will allow you as an end customer to talk to Ava via Teams and restore things directly from your recycle bin for Exchange, OneDrive, Teams, etc. Now, when you pair that with Avepoint Cloud Backup, it's like on steroids, right? Because now you can do things like point-in-time restore, you can do out-of-place restore, you can restore from other applications, not just Exchange and OneDrive and Teams, right? You can get much more granular, you can restore permissions and so on. But it's still got a lot of value, and considering so many people are working from home and working remotely, it takes a little bit off of your plate with the constant support tickets that are coming in, right? So if they're actually able and enabled to do this for free, it can help significantly your bandwidth and your efficiency. So that is it from a high-level commercial perspective. I think we left a few minutes here at the end for questions and answers. Marlene, I'm not sure how you want to conduct the Q&A portion of this, but any questions on the product, commercial side? Product, there'll be a boot camp, of course, tomorrow on the more technical features. So the team will handle some of those more specific features. If you want to talk about things like architecture or, the VM specs, they'll handle that tomorrow. But anything on, how do we compete in the market? How are we different than other people? Maybe, value props in the field, et cetera. I'm happy to answer.
Sure. Thank you, Scott. Yes, if you have any question, please, you can either unmute your microphone or type it in the chat session.
And Marlene, since I'm still sharing my screen, if someone types something in, can you just repeat the question to me?
Sure, yes.
And remember, folks, if you do have a question or you don't feel comfortable asking the question, or it's maybe more specific to your business, you can always reach out after. Or if it's you think about it tonight and you want to ask the team tomorrow, we'll have a team on tomorrow, obviously, who will also be able to answer that question. So, there's no rush. You can always, of course, reach out.
Yes, we have one question here, Scott, can we discuss some more about the work from home kit?
Sure. So the work from home kit is a free product that's good till the end of this year that we're offering. We just announced this, I believe it was now 2 weeks ago. And from a product perspective, it's really two different products that you can leverage. Like I said, one is the Avepoint Virtual Assistant, or AVA, which is a end user restore tool that you can subscribe to via the Team Store. So all you have to do is go into the Team Store, search for AVA or Avepoint, right, and find it, deploy it on your teams, right? By the way, if you have customers using Teams, great tool for getting adoption up. And you can start asking questions of it, and it can quite literally, restore directly from the recycle bin after asking those questions. And once again, if you pair that with Cloud Backup, which you would have to purchase through IncomeX, you can immediately see significant benefits and scale out your restore operations. The second tool is something called Group Hub, which is both groups and teams membership management. That tool is not available in the Team Store today. You'd have to reach out to Avepoint to get access to it, which you can do. I think if there's not a link here, I'll have the team provide the link tomorrow. But I think, Marlene, we may have given you guys the link as well. So IncomeX can provide that, and you can use that to deploy to your end customers, where they can then do basically management of membership, right? So you can see from a top-down view all the teams I'm in, be able to join or get out of some of those teams. Because what we're seeing is that now that everyone's working from home and Teams is becoming such a tier 1 critical application, which is great, this is exactly what many of us want, sprawl is occurring. And we actually saw this all the time with SharePoint originally, where people were giving access, or admins were giving access, and partners were giving access to end customers, and sites were being created all over the place. And eventually sprawl was so tremendous that they had to start doing projects on how to get rid of these sites, do audit reports on these sites, and figure out what's necessary and what's not. We're seeing the same type of issue with groups and teams, right? So this is a free tool till the end of the year to deploy to your customers to allow them to do that for themselves. The last piece, by the way, there is a governance workshop piece that you can also reach out about. I have to look at the qualifications on what you need to qualify for it. But there is also this kind of governance workshop piece that is also interesting for certain partners.
Oh, hi, Scott. I got a little question.
Yep.
When you are restoring information with the Avepoint Virtual Assistant, I understand you can do it with the last 30 days. But yes, if you have the cloud backup, it's possible to do it with your backup in your, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 years ago, your backup?
Yes, that's correct. So on the backup side, we allow for point-in-time restore. So if you've been backing up for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, right, you can go all the way back in time to those initial backups. And what AVA, our virtual assistant, is doing when you do sign up for cloud backup is it's connecting on the back end to that product, right, to those backups. And then they'll be able to pull from there. But absolutely, our backup tool goes back as long as, you're on unlimited retention, which we offer, you can pull from those backup jobs. That's right.
Okay, thanks.
We have another question, Scott. You mentioned Slack. What is Slack?
What is Slack? Slack is one of the fastest growing unified communication tools. Actually, when Teams came out, many people thought Teams was in direct response to Slack. So the way Slack thinks about business is basically, how do I get rid of all of emails and have everybody live in this world of group communication and chat? So the idea of Teams, right, where you have different teams, is essentially what Slack is, minus Slack doesn't have video communication, right? Calling. Slack doesn't have nearly the kind of capabilities on the file side, although you can share files in there. It's a very, very hot startup. If you've never heard of it, I mean, it is a good product. There is a free version of it, just like Teams, just like most products. There's a freemium and premium version. But what we're seeing is that Slack, which is also getting a lot of growth because of the pandemic, what we're seeing is Slack does limit kind of the overall story that Teams kind of expands on, right? So Slack today or recently announced, for example, it's starting to integrate with Teams because Teams, many of their customers also use Teams for calling, right? For video communication, for conversations. So they have to still integrate with some of the other folks. So what many people are starting to do is they're saying, well, why am I using Slack and Teams? Why don't I just move all that data over to Teams, right? Why don't I move all of that, so the actual documents over, and then why don't I move all of all that conversation history over, and then do this all within Teams because everything's so tightly integrated within Microsoft 365. So, but if you've never heard of Slack, you should look it up. I mean, it's certainly a compelling product. I would never, say there's no competitors for Teams, right? But it's not something that's nearly the size of adoption of Teams, but it's certainly a fast-growing solution.
Hi, Scott. Ayrton here from IncomeX. I may have missed a part of it, but could you share with us what mail servers you will migrate from to Office 365?
Yeah, so Exchange, IMAP, POP3, and Gmail. If you're looking for how far back the version history, I don't recall. I think 2007, but I can also have the team review that tomorrow.
Got you.
So all the big ones, right? From an email perspective, we cover most of those.
Some persons have asked also about, if they have clients that have hosted their email with, say, like GoDaddy, are there any specific things that they need to consider when they're migrating from a syndicated partner like GoDaddy?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we run into this a lot with GoDaddy, with Intermedia, any hosted exchange provider, right? And the biggest thing is to make sure that you have the credentials to actually get your data out. Some of the hosted providers have actually been very difficult to work with for many customers for obvious reasons, because many people are moving and offloading their data from them and they're not so easy to give access. So if you don't have the credentials and the keys to actually get that data, of course, anyone's going to have difficulties migrating it over. With that being said, as long as you have that information, which you'll need of any legacy data system that you're moving, we'll be able to move it.
Also, as an MSP, when you buy the specific SKU that allows you, I think it's 2,500 seats, that major SKU as an MSP, you can pretty much migrate from any tenant. I understand there's a limitation of 1 terabyte. How is that calculated or computed?
It's computed in the license on the back end. Avepoint has kind of like a ticker that allows you it enables you to see how much data has actually been moved over. I'm not sure about the price you mentioned. I think it's 7,500.
No, it's 7,500, but 7,500 before 2,500 plus seats, correct?
Oh, it's unlimited seats.
Okay.
Well, it's unlimited. Yeah. It's not unlimited data, but it's unlimited seats, right? So, yeah, there's no limitation from that perspective.
Okay.
So yeah, but yes, Avepoint has a mechanism in the back that will, will monitor essentially the data size. So while you can move multiple tenants and multiple data sources from that one UX, right? That's the limitation put on for that particular type of license model.
Okay. One other question for MSPs or VARs, when they've just started engaging their end customers, do you have a tool outside of Elements to do a quick check to see how much data they're thinking of migrating from their existing mail service? So
within Fly, that's where the basically the pre-monitor tool exists. We had something previously that was a discovery tool that sits outside of there that I think we still have that we can send along as well, but it'll give you the same information. So, you're better off just downloading Fly and, the trial version of Fly and doing the quick scan of that environment.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Okay, Scott, I don't see more questions in the chat. Remember that we have the technical session tomorrow. So if you still have more questions, just let us know, and tomorrow we will be more than happy to answer.
Wonderful. We just want to thank everyone for attending. We appreciate everyone's attention, and obviously we hope everyone stays healthy and well. And, we look forward to speaking to everyone again tomorrow for the technical session.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.